The NBA draft lottery is passed, the draft order is finally set, and the Phoenix Suns are unofficially on the clock. There are 4 teams still playing for the championship, but the other 26 teams are focused on the draft. The NBA draft is always one of the most anticipated events in the offseason, and things will only heat up after the NBA Combine and once prospects have individual team workouts. This draft class is loaded at the top with possible franchise-changing prospects. Stay tuned for my 3rd and final NBA mock draft. Let's get it! The Phoenix Suns just hired former Utah Jazz assistant coach Igor Kokoskov, and he is the first NBA head coach born and raised outside of North America. He is considered an offensive mastermind and is just what the Phoenix Suns need. He gives new hope to a team that haven't been competitive since the great Steve Nash was traded away. And he could have a say in possibly drafting one of his former players from overseas. Whether the Suns cash in this pick for a superstar like Kawhi Leonard or take another young player, they need someone to pull the franchise out of this quicksand and end the drought of 50-plus lost seasons. With the first pick of the 2018 NBA draft, the Phoenix Suns select DeAndre Ayton from the University of Arizona. Despite the connection between Igor and Luka Doncic, the Suns will ultimately decide that Ayton is the total package. Not only is he arguably the best prospect, but he feels a pressing need. It's a win-win situation. Ayton would be the prototypical big man in today's NBA and in previous eras. He's that versatile of a prospect. He's a freak athlete who can dominate on the inside and the outside. He can turn over both shoulders and be a pick and pop threat. Can get up and down the court as fast as any wing players and could potentially be a good defensive player. He is just what the Suns need. Someone who can take pressure off of Devin Booker and provide consistent offense throughout the game. Ayton even said he wanted to play for the Suns, and that him and Devin Booker could be the next Kobe and Shaq. The Phoenix Suns still have a long way to go, but this is a big step in the right direction. Going into this past season for the Sacramento Kings, it was going to be about the future and development of players like De'Aaron Fox, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Buddy Hield, and the rest of the young players. There was frustration early amongst older players who weren't playing a lot of minutes, which led to inconsistent play for the most part, especially with George Hill. I knew that his addition would not go well for the Kings, but Fox and Bogdanovic showed a lot of promise that should give Kings fans reason to be optimistic. With the 2nd pick of the draft, the Sacramento Kings select Luka Doncic from Slovenia. This is an easy selection for the Kings. Pick the prospect that the Phoenix Suns don't pick. The 6'8" playmaker is looked at as one of the best European prospects in a long time. Not only does he have the skill set and talent to be a star, but he also has the confidence and swagger to be a star. He's a good shooter, he can create off the dribble, and he has excellent court vision. His feel for the game is second to none. Having multiple playmakers on the team is always a positive, especially for a young team. Despite average athleticism, Doncic still has all the makings of a primetime player. His skills and basketball IQ make up for his lack of elite speed and athleticism. I'm not sure how high his ceiling is, but I know he has a high floor, meaning at the very least, he'll be a solid productive starter in the league for a long time. He can play point guard, but he also has the size to play the 2 and the 3, and you can keep Bogdanovic at the 2 while Doncic can slide at the small forward spot. But there was a report that Doncic wasn't sure he wanted to play in the NBA this year. I look at that as he probably don't want to play in Sacramento, which could lead the Kings to trading the 2nd pick to another team, which would be unfortunate for the Kings. The Atlanta Hawks made it known from the jump that they were tanking last year. They were Eastern Conference worst 24-58, but they lost 21 games by fewer than 10 points and only 7 losses by 20 points or more. This team relied heavily on rookie John Collins, 2nd-year forward Taurean Prince, and point guard Dennis Schroeder. They have recently hired former 76ers assistant coach Lloyd Pierce after Budenholzer and the Hawks mutually agreed to part ways. The Hawks need a difference maker from this draft. Lucky for them, there could be a couple to choose from at number 3. With the 3rd pick in the draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Mo Bamba from the University of Texas. Bamba very well could be a Defensive Player of the Year in the future. This guy has next level size and length, standing just over 7 feet tall with a 7'10" wingspan. And he's just as mobile and athletic as an NBA small forward. Even though he wasn't a consistent offensive threat during his freshman year at Texas, he showed flashes of being a solid offensive player. He has a nice shooting form on his jump shot, and a nice hook shot in the lane. You could say he's a more athletic Dikembe Mutombo with possible three-point range. I believe Mo Bamba will surprise a lot of people on how good he can be on offense. I believe he will have tremendous improvement throughout the years, like the Greek Freak did. His tools, maturity, and basketball IQ are the main reasons I feel that Mo Bamba will be a top 3 player from this draft. One of the most disappointing teams this year was the Memphis Grizzlies. After Mike Conley got hurt in November, everything went downhill. While a lot of people think the Grizzlies should trade their best players and start over, the organization would rather add a top-level prospect and bring this core back to compete for the playoffs next year. Mike Conley is the most important player on the team. Even though he only played 12 games, they did go 7-5. There still is a high-level prospect that feels a need for the Grizzlies that is available at 4. With the 4th pick in the draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Marvin Bagley from Duke University. Bagley could end up being a perennial all-star in the future. There's not a more perfect fit for Bagley than the Memphis Grizzlies. Playing with veterans like Marc Gasol and Mike Conley, and also having a chance to win, would do wonders for Bagley's development. Playing around good defensive players would mask his defensive issues at this point. His quickness and leaping ability for a player his size is truly special. He has the potential to be a versatile offensive player. He's very effective in the low post and around the rim. He has a nice mid-range jump shot and has the potential to be a good pick-and-pop three-point shooter. Being a consistent three-point threat could take his game to another level. Bagley is too quick for power forwards, and most will struggle to keep him out the paint. He has an excellent nose for the ball, which makes him a high-level rebounder. He's not as long as other players at his size, and he's not a great shot blocker. Becoming a solid one-on-one post defender is a must for Bagley to reach his ceiling. With the addition of Bagley and Conley coming back from injury, the Memphis Grizzlies should find themselves back in the playoffs, and Bagley could be one of the top candidates for Rookie of the Year. The Dallas Mavericks had another disappointing and losing season, but despite dealing with a number of injuries, they were competitive for the most part this past season. They only had a minus 2.7 per game point differential, which is the best of the teams at the bottom of the standings. The Mavericks have solid building pieces in Dennis Smith Jr. and Harrison Barnes. Add to the fact that they will be one of few teams to have a lot of cap space to go along with a top 5 draft pick. This team could be much improved next season. And just like last year, this draft is deep enough to where the Mavericks will have the opportunity to draft another high-level prospect at this spot. With the 5th pick in the draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Jaren Jackson Jr. from Michigan State University. Jackson is a talented big man who possesses the ability to stretch the defense with his three-point shooting and protect the rim. Those are important skills needed for a big man in today's NBA, but you might have to wait on him to develop for a couple of years. He is less NBA ready than some of the best prospects in this draft. Jackson was one of the best shot blockers in college basketball last season, and he also showed the ability to defend in space on pick-and-roll switches. He is not an elite athlete, but he's mobile and very agile for a player his size. He has a great chance to be an impactful player in the future, but due to his unpolished raw offensive game and his prone to turnovers and fouls, he's the ultimate project in this year's draft.